Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining me on another video of watercolor painting. Here's some of the brushes I like to use. I like to use a fan brush, a couple different sizes. I use the large Ron Ranson goat hair brush and the medium, and then a rigger, and then I might use a flat brush. I'm painting on Canson XL today, 11 by 15, and here's my palette that I've been using. I have indigo, alizarin crimson, yellow ochre, burnt umber, light red, ultramarine blue, and lemon yellow. Those are the colors I've narrowed it down. I used to use Payne's gray and I used to use raw sienna, but I've since eliminated those out of there. I like the indigo and the yellow ochre for me better. And now I'm going to wet the entirety of the paper down. Again, this is 11 by 15. This is cold press. This is just your Canson XL. And they used to sell these at the hobby stores, but they've pretty much embraced just selling mostly their own brands. So I've got a stockpile of this stuff, so I thought I'd use it a little bit. Coming in with the ultramarine blue and a little bit of indigo. I'm using the Master's Touch paint from Hobby Lobby. It was on sale, 50% off, which they put on sale on a pretty regular basis. And I'm just kind of using a combination of the two dark colors, the indigo and the ultramarine blue. And I'm not worried about streaks or anything. Those tend to kind of dry back. That never really is an issue for me. One other color that I do use on my palette is white. If you've watched any of my videos, either a Chinese white or a white gouache. And in this case here, I'm going to use some Chinese white, same brand, the Master's Touch. And I do apologize, after watching this back, I see the camera's a little crooked, got kind of a little old 1960s Batman effect going on here, but I think it's still watchable in its case. So I put a little bit of white up here. I actually dripped it down. I'm not worried about it because you'll see what I'm going to do here shortly. Sometimes these cheaper paints, when you squirt them out, they're not mixed up real good in the tube. You get a little liquid that comes out initially in the beginning. But in this economy with $3 a tube for paint, $3.50 a tube, can't really beat it these days. So here I'm going to just lay in dabs of this white. Now this will dry back quite a bit, but I do like this effect. So after I get this paint on, what I'm going to do is I have another Ron Ranson brush ready to go with no paint. It's just a dry brush. And this works on a lot of different varieties of paper. Might work on some better than others, but I haven't had a problem with this working. So I'm just going to take and lightly kind of blend this. You can see how I'm kind of twirling the brush a little bit. And it creates kind of a smoky effect. It's a little bit of a glare there from the light. And look at that. Creates just a nice smooth sky. Well, that white will dry back, so the more you use, the more it will remain bright. It'd be nice if you could freeze frame it right here, but again, when it dries a little differently. What you get is a little different than what you actually have while it's wet. Oil and acrylic, it stays. Okay, so I'm going to grab my Sunlight in a bottle. You've seen me use this before. This is yellow ochre in my spray bottle, and this allows me to spray over the top and create some quick light. Creates a very interesting effect. And if you haven't seen me use this before, it's about an inch of paint, maybe 2 inches to about a half to 3/4 of a bottle of water. Shake it up real good. Be careful to cover your surroundings if you're going to be spraying, because you will get some overspray. And if you're worried about anything in the air, you can wear a mask. I don't, but I'm pointing it away, so it shouldn't be a problem. So I'm taking some burnt umber here now, and I'm creating a little bit of a ground area. Back to the palette, again with some little bit of blue. Blue, ultramarine blue and burnt umber mixed together very well for some very, very nice color. And now I've mixed some blue and yellow to create some greens at the bottom here. And I'm just kind of dabbing them in, utilizing the bristles on the Ron Ranson brush to create some foreground foliage. So we've got our 3 planes basically in: our background, our sky, our middle ground, and our foreground. So I'm going to take some indigo with the fan brush. I like using the fan brush for these evergreen trees. Just kind of a back and forth motion. It's kind of a zigzag motion. I know a couple people said they had issues with the trees, but try to just work on that zigzag back and forth motion. And then put a little topper on it. And then a little yellow highlight even you can put in there. And we'll put a second one over here. Little indigo, little lemon yellow just to highlight the branches. These evergreen trees, you can go either way with them. You can use a little indigo, you can use a little blue if you want them to look more like blue pines. If you want them more greenish yellow. I've seen varieties of these that range from blue to green to yellow. So just really the kind that you like. And we'll pop another one in here. Again, that back and forth motion. You can see I use plenty of paint. People ask me about out of the tube. And that is why I use a little less expensive paint, because I do end up using more paint. So you can see here that little just zigzag back and forth motion. Little yellow highlights. And I like to do that while it's wet so that they kind of melt into the paint. And for fun here, we'll throw in one more in here. Little highlights again. Some of those will dry back. You can always come back and add more. You can see the way the sky dried in the background there, the yellow toned down a little bit. And we don't have like big puff balls for clouds. It's just, you know, it's very subtle. So I'm going to put some darks in here. I don't know, this is where I come to a point where it's like, well, what else do I want to add? Because I am kind of making this up as I go along. I don't have a painting in the background I do have some paintings that I've done that I kind of look at, but I don't have any paintings exactly like this that I've done. So it's all kind of just made up as I go. It's the most fun way for me to paint. So I'm just adding some little darks using the indigo again. Now, if you're using a different brand of indigo, I find that they can vary a little bit. The Daniel Smith indigo is very, very good, very high quality. The indigo from Hobby Lobby is really good. At least it is as of this tube that I got. Some are still in the metal tubes there, and then they've switched to like a vinyl-like material tube. But the paint still seems to be pretty decent. So I'm scratching it in with my plastic card. I'm putting in some rocks here and there. If you put in too many, then you come back with your little shadow color and just dab away some of them. So I think I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, this looks like a riverbed to me. So I'm going to get a little crazy here. I'm taking my indigo and I'm going to create a background for some water effects. And I'm just going to put this where I think there's going to be water. Okay, now that I got the background for the riverbed in, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick dry for this. Going to get out the hair dryer. Okay, now that it's dry, we're going to get the fan brush back out. Get a little bit of Chinese white going here. And this you kind of want to get right on the first try because you're using the bristles of the fan brush to do this pullover, to do this quick downward stroke for some water coming down. And that was the hard part. But really it's not hard. So I'm going to use the Chinese white to kind of decorate in some water here, kind of in and around these rocks and things. I'll probably lose some of them, but that's okay. And some of this will dry back. Once again, it's just something we have to keep in the back of our mind, that these colors do dry back. And I've added just a little to the white. I added just a touch of ultramarine blue, just so it's not really super stark white. Just kind of going back and forth with the fan brush. Just where I think the water would be kind of flowing, just to create some movement. And I'm giving it a little spray now with my spray bottle, just to kind of get that to blend together a little bit. So again, it's going on neat out of the tube, and then I'm adding water to it on the surface of the paper. Again, just adding little touches of white here and there. If you do like my content on my channel, I always like to remind you, you can join the channel here on YouTube, or you can come on over to Patreon if you like that platform and join on over there and jump in and out for maybe a month. Check out what videos I have. I know a lot of people jump around and see what a lot of artists are doing, and that's not a bad idea, really. Learn from quite a few different artists. Give other artists a chance at, getting some exposure, seeing what they have to offer. Still doing a little blending, just getting it the way I think it would be, and I'll give it a little spritz with my light in a bottle, just because there'd be a little bit of yellow glinting off of the water. I'm going to come in here now and give it a quick dry. Okay, so just adding a few more highlights here to these trees for what dried back. Just putting where the branches would be. And then I'm going to take this same yellow greeny color and I'm going to make a bunch of grass around where the water would be, in and around the water on the bottom there. I'm going to give it a little spray, a little blast with the spray bottle, just so it kind of all blends together, melts together. Again, just coming in with the hair dryer, drying that up a little bit so it doesn't run off. And just looking at where I think I need a little bit more water, a little bit more blending, and then I'll do another dry and we'll be close to finishing. Like I said, this tends to dry back quite a bit, especially the white. It really fades. So I'm fine with coming in a couple of times and just adding a little bit more here and there. Now let's go ahead and grab a mat and get an idea how it looks. Just kind of hang it on the top of the paper there. Zoom out a little bit. See if I can straighten out this crooked. Every video, I swear, there's always some glitch. There's light coming through the window wrong. Crooked cam. I mean, I need a cameraman or a camera person, I should say. So now, once I got the mat up there, and this is, a mat I have laying around that's already gotten paint on it accidentally, and I'll come in and I'll just do the final little areas that I hadn't noticed, a little more highlights. Just a few little dabs here and there. And I think that looks pretty good. Move the camera back here now. Kind of get an idea. And there it is. Let's zoom in. And there's the finished painting. I thank you so much for watching, everybody, and we'll see you on the next video.